Hi. So I've just now beaten Final Fantasy 9, like 30 minutes ago. And I didn't have a capture card when I started playing the game, so I didn't record any of my playthrough of it. But when I started getting to the end of the game, I thought that this was something that I wanted to have on camera. And so I decided to record my reaction to the ending of the game, but I hadn't recorded anything prior. I realized that's probably might be a little weird putting just the reaction to the ending up on the internet, but it's something that I kind of want to do just to have for myself, just to look back on, so that I can have that memory there forever. But I also kind of want to make a short, just a little rambly bit talking about my thoughts about the game and the characters, and then I'll stick my reaction to the ending on the end of this. But altogether, phenomenal game, great game. Probably, it's definitely in my top 2 favorite Final Fantasies. I don't know, it's fighting between 9 and 10, probably, for my favorite. I like a whole lot of the characters. There's some of them that didn't quite get as much attention, like Freya and Amaranth. They kind of seemed like sometimes they were just there. Still really cool. I like Vivi. Vivi's whole story about, figuring out who he is, where he came from, and all that. Very, very deep. Very reminiscent. Well, obviously, Final Fantasy 9 came out first, but you can see why they decided to put Vivi in Kingdom Hearts 2. It's a very similar existential crisis that Roxas has in that game. So I think that fit really well. But yeah, Vivi's story's great. Steiner, just slowly throughout the course of the game, getting to know Zidane and trusting him, working with him, when at the start he was very much, no, this is a criminal, keep away from him, run away, that kind of thing. Beatrix was really, really cool. She was only in the party for like a couple of fights, which is sad. I wish we could have had more time with Beatrix, actually in the party. But she was cool. You saw her, switch over once she realized what was up with the queen and all that. And, when she's like, oh, the queen's actually trying to kill her daughter, then she's like, nope, I ain't with you anymore. And she's super powerful. Steiner's a lucky guy. Yeah, Beatrix is cool. Zidane, pretty interesting main character. He's taught a whole lot to all of the party members, made them better people in the end. And then his relationship with Dagger, which I actually can't think of her actual name right offhand. I'm actually gonna have to sit and think about it, because we felt like we called her Dagger for so much of the game. If I think about it, I'll come back to it. Yeah, and then Aiko. You kind of get the feeling that Aiko is like actually Dagger's sister or something like that. I don't know if that was just something that we're hinting at, or if that's supposed to be a thing, or just they're both happen to be summoners from that same village and they're not actually related. I don't know where they were going with that. And then there was also the thing, I'm not sure if that ever got explained either, about why there was an identical baby to Dagger. Like, because the queen's daughter died, and then they found Dagger escaping from that village, and she just happened to look exactly like the queen's baby that just died. So that was, I don't know if they ever actually explained that. I'm curious about that. If anyone knows, let me know in the comments. Yeah, that was great. Quina, like, okay, don't at me. I cry in this video, like, a little bit. And the only time I cry was when Quina is on screen just talking about food. But for some reason, just how simple-minded and childish Quina is, it makes me tear up. I don't know why. I don't know. It's just something about it. Amaranth is he's kind of unusual. I don't know how I feel about him. He's kind of like the the edgy rival character, but he shows up kind of late and he doesn't ever really say a whole lot. But I mean, he's cool, but he's just, I don't know, pretty thin on the ground with him. He's not there a whole lot. Freya, we had a little bit of a story with Freya, with Bermesia getting destroyed, and then Fratley not remembering her and all that. But it felt like Freya's story was like, popped in, a little bit of Freya's story, popped out, did nothing for a long time. And then he had the crew that Zidane was with. You could play as them at the very beginning, so I kind of expected them to be there a little more. They're kind of just like on the side, like the whole time. They'll pop up like all the time, but I kind of expected them to be playable more often. And then you had the guy that got frozen in the jungle, Blank. He was pretty cool. Although he was kind of also not there as much as I expected him to be, which it's fine, but it was just, he felt like he was going to be like a pretty big thing. It feels like you could have gotten rid of Amaranth and just put Blank in where Amaranth was, and I probably would like the game even more, but yeah, it kind of felt like Blank and Amaranth were kind of like the same character but a little different, and you could have just consolidated them and made it one character. It would have been pretty cool. Yeah, the Queen. The Queen's kind of, I don't know. She reminded me of the Queen of Hearts from Alice in Wonderland. Just angry, and it is a little harder to relate with characters because this was before voice acting and everything. I'm sure there were voice acted games by this point, but this game is not voice acted. I normally have a harder time getting into the games without voice acting because I don't connect with the characters as much. So that might have something to do with me not vibing with some of the characters. But yeah, it was the Queen of Hearts. I almost called her the Queen of Hearts. Yeah, the Queen, it kind of felt like she was just like irredeemably evil, and then when she died, it was suddenly, supposed to feel bad for her. It was a little bit on the weird side, but you still, like, to Dagger, that was her mother, so you feel bad for Dagger's sake, but not because the Queen died. At least I didn't. But yeah, I like a whole bunch of the characters that are in this. A lot of them are really good. And the story overall, you just, I vibe with it a lot. Sid. This might have my favorite Sid in any of the Final Fantasies that I've played. I don't know why, I just really like him. And then at the end, when they kind of adopt Aiko on accident, she just like starts calling them father and mother, and they're like, okay, I guess we're gonna roll with it. But then also the whole time where he got turned into the Oglop and then the frog, and he was still helping us out, building airships, and he had his whole thing with his wife getting mad at him and cursing him and all that. I don't know, I really like this Sid. This Sid was pretty cool. And then at the very end when he pops up with the airship to save us, like, Sid's got our back. Sid's got our back. But Dagger's real name was Garnet. I just remembered. Also, Kuja. Pretty interesting villain. Because he definitely does some pretty messed up stuff. But then at the same time, and you find out he's the one that was making all the black mages, and then how the black mages were kind of like Gaia's version of all of the I forget what they're called now, but Zidane, Kuja, those beings like that, and how he was kind of like redoing the same thing that was done to him, just like creating life and deciding what his purpose was and all that. It's kind of messed up. But then at the very end, when he actually helps everyone survive, and then Zidane goes to save him, make sure he's okay, that kind of seemed like it wasn't super clear cut. I don't know if he survived or not. We see Zidane at the very end. But then Kuja is like nowhere to be seen, so I'm guessing he didn't survive. I kind of hope that he did though, because he does kind of turn things around right there at the end by helping everybody. And then you have Garland. That's his name, Garland. It was kind of weird because Final Fantasy 1 main villain's Garland, and Final Fantasy 9 turn around have another villain named Garland. I guess it's a long enough time between, it's 8 games in between, but yeah, Garland pretty interesting because like because you have this whole dynamic between the 2 villains. Well, I guess actually 3, because I consider the Queen, Kuja, and Garland all villains, but to varying degrees. Because Garland, at the end of the day, was kind of just trying to save his people from his world. Doing pretty bad things to do it, sacrificing an entire other world to save his, pretty much. But then also Kuja and his, defiance of his destiny, going against what he was created for because he wanted to make his own decision and all of that. And also just, seeing how close Kuja and Zidane were from just being the same. They were literally like created on the same world for similar purposes and all that. And you see Zidane at the end realize that, and he's like, oh wait, we're not too different, me and you. He goes to try to save him. So that's really neat because you have the Kuja spurring on the Queen to do all of her evil stuff, but then he's doing that because he's going against Garland, and so it's a pretty interesting power dynamic there going on between the villains in this story. But pretty interesting. But Garland, I don't really hate Garland because I don't really have any animosity towards him. He's, he did, bad stuff, definitely, for sure, but it's kind of for the sake of survival in a way, so he doesn't have any hatred or vengeance or whatever towards us, and I don't have any towards him. But yeah, so that's the villains. But yeah, I think that's pretty much my thoughts on the game, at least the ones that I have right now. But yeah, now I'm gonna stick my reaction to the ending in here, and this will be just a video of my thoughts and reaction to the ending. But hope you guys enjoy it.